William S. Burroughs, The Finger. Lee slowly walked up 6th Avenue from 42nd Street, looking in pawnshop windows. I must do it, he repeated to himself. Here it was, a cutlery store. He stood there, shivering, with the collar of his shabby Chesterfield turned up. One button had fallen off the front of his overcoat, and the loose threads twisted in a cold wind. He moved slowly around the shop window and into the entrance, looking at knives and scissors and pocket microscopes and air pistols and takedown toolkits with the tools snapping or screwing into a metal handle. The whole kit folding into a small leather packet. Lee remembered getting one of these kits for Christmas when he was a child. Finally, he saw what he was looking for. Poultry shears, like the ones his father used to cut through the joints when he carved the turkey at grandmother's. Thanksgiving dinners. There they were, glittering and stainless. One blade smooth and sharp, the other with teeth like a saw to hold the meat in place for cutting. Lee went in and asked to see the shears. He opened and closed the blades, tested the edge with his thumb. That's stainless steel, sir. Never rusts or tarnishes. How much? $2.79 plus tax. Okay. The clerk wrapped the shears in brown paper and taped the package neatly. It seemed to Lee that the crackling paper made a deafening noise in the empty store. He paid with his last $5 and walked out, with the shears heavy in his overcoat pocket. He walked up 6th Avenue, repeating, I must do it. I've got to do it now that I've bought the shears. He saw a sign, Hotel Aristo. There was no lobby. He walked up a flight of stairs. An old man, dingy and indistinct, like a faded photograph, was standing behind a desk. Lee registered, paid $1 in advance, and picked up a key with a heavy bronze tag. His room opened onto a dark shaft. He turned on the light. Black-stained furniture, a double bed with a thin mattress, and sagging springs. Lee unwrapped the shears and held them in his hand. He put the shears down on the dresser in front of an oval mirror that turned on a pivot. Lee walked around the room. He picked up the shears again and placed the end joint of his left little finger against the saw teeth. Lower blade exactly at the knuckle. Slowly he lowered the cutting blade until it rested against the flesh of his finger. He looked into the mirror, composing his face into the supercilious mask of an 18th century dandy. He took a deep breath, pressed the handle quick and hard. He felt no pain. The finger joint fell on the dresser. Lee turned his hand over and looked at the stub. Blood spurted up and hit him in the face. He felt a sudden, deep pity for the finger joint that lay there on the dresser. A few drops of blood gathering around the white bone. Tears came to his eyes. It didn't do anything, he said in a broken child's voice. He adjusted his face again, cleaned the blood off it with a towel, and bandaged his finger crudely, adding more gauze as the blood soaked through. In a few minutes, the bleeding had stopped. Lee picked up the finger joint and put it in his vest pocket. He walked out of the hotel, tossing his key on the desk. I've done it, he said to himself. Waves of euphoria swept through him as he walked down the street. He stopped in a bar and ordered a double brandy, meeting all eyes with a level, friendly stare. Goodwill flowed out of him for everyone he saw, for the whole world. A lifetime of defensive hostility had fallen from him. Half an hour later, he was sitting with his analyst on a park bench in Central Park. The analyst was trying to persuade him to go to Bellevue and had suggested they go outside and talk it over. Ready, Bill? You're doing yourself a great disservice. Or really, Bill, sorry. When you realize what you've done, you'll need psychiatric care. Your ego will be overwhelmed. All I need is to have this finger sewed up. I've got a date tonight. Really, Bill, I don't see how I can continue as your psychiatrist if you don't follow my advice in this matter. The analyst's voice had become whiny, shrill, almost hysterical. Lee wasn't listening. He felt a deep trust in the doctor. The doctor would take care of him. He turned to the doctor with a little boy smile. Why don't you fix it yourself? I haven't practiced since my internship, and I don't have the necessary materials in any case. This has to be sewed up right, or it could get infected right on up the arm. Lee finally agreed to go to Bellevue for medical treatment only. At Bellevue, Lee sat on a bench, waiting while the doctor talked to somebody. The doctor came back and led Lee to another room, where an intern sewed up the finger and put on a dressing. The doctor kept urging him to allow himself to be committed. Lee was overcome by a sudden faintness. A nurse told him to put his head back. Lee felt that he must put himself entirely in the care of the doctor. All right, he said, I'll do what you say. The doctor patted his arm. You're doing the right thing, Bill. The doctor led him past several desks where he signed papers. I'm cutting red tape by the yard, the doctor said. Finally, Lee found himself in a dressing gown in a bare ward. Where's my room? He asked a nurse. Your room? I don't know what bed you've been assigned to. Anyway, you can't go there before 8, unless you have a special order from the doctor. Where's my doctor? Dr. Brumfield? He isn't here now. He'll be in tomorrow morning around 10. I mean Dr. Horowitz. Dr. Horowitz? I don't think he's on the staff here. He looked around him at the bare corridors, the men walking around in bathrobes, muttering under the cold, indifferent eyes of an attendant. Why, this is the psychopathic ward, he thought. He put me in here and went away. Years later, Lee would tell the story. Did I ever tell you about the time I got on a Van Gogh kick and cut off the end joint of my little finger? At this point, he would hold up his left hand. This girl, see? She lives in the next room to me, in a rooming house on Jane Street. That's in the village. I love her, and she's so stupid I can't make any impression. Night after night, I lay there hearing her carry on with some man in the next room. It's tearing me all apart, so I hit on this finger joint gimmick. I'll present it to her. A trifling memento of my undying affection. I suggest you wear around your neck in a pendant filled with formaldehyde. But my analyst, the lousy bastard, shanghaied me into the nut house, and the finger joint was sent to Pottersfield with a death certificate, because someone might find the finger joint, and the police go around looking for the rest of the body. If you ever have occasion to cut off a finger joint, my dear, don't consider any instrument but poultry shears. That way you're sure you're cutting through at the joint. And what about the girl? Oh, by the time I got out of the nut house, she had gone to Chicago. I never saw her again.